Bars are meant to be a place of relaxation, a haven for stories, laughter, and good company. But sometimes, the spirits served aren't the only ones present. These true tales reveal how the walls of bars have witnessed the inexplicable, the eerie, and the terrifying. Get ready for 3 chilling stories that will make you think twice about your next drink. In 2015, Tom was traveling through a small town in Nevada. Exhausted from driving all day, he stopped at a dive bar called the Dusty Lantern. The place had an old, rustic charm, with dim lighting and a jukebox playing soft blues. Tom ordered a beer and struck up a conversation with the bartender, an older man named Jerry. The bar was nearly empty, except for a woman sitting at the far end, sipping a cocktail. She was dressed in vintage clothing, her hair styled like she had stepped out of the 1940s. She caught Tom's eye and smiled faintly, raising her glass in a silent toast. Intrigued, Tom asked Jerry about her. Jerry's face darkened, and he muttered, "Don't pay her any mind." Tom ignored the warning and walked over to introduce himself. The woman's voice was soft and melodic, and she spoke in an accent he couldn't place. She told him her name was Evelyn and that she used to be a regular at the bar. As they talked, Tom noticed something strange: her drink never seemed to empty. No matter how many sips she took, the liquid stayed at the same level. At midnight, Evelyn suddenly stood up and said, "It's time for me to go." She placed her hand on Tom's and whispered, "Be careful on your way home." Then, she walked toward the door and disappeared into the night. When Tom returned to the bar, Jerry looked pale. "Did she say anything to you?" Jerry asked. Tom nodded and told him what she had said. Jerry sighed and explained that Evelyn had died in a car accident decades ago. She had been a regular at the bar and was known for warning others before they left. That night, as Tom drove back to his motel, a deer darted onto the road. Thanks to Evelyn's warning, he was alert and swerved just in time to avoid a deadly crash. The moral? Sometimes, even the departed care enough to keep us safe. Have you ever felt something strange in the dead of night? A noise that pulled you out of your sleep? Or seen something in the darkness that couldn't possibly be real? Welcome to Mr. Nightscaring, where the veil between truth and terror is lifted. The screen shows a foggy forest with a shadowy figure in the distance, slowly walking towards the camera. We bring you real stories, chilling encounters shared by those who've lived through them. These are not just tales to scare you, they're glimpses into a world where reality and fear collide. Every story will leave you questioning, will you dare to listen till the end? Quick shots of an abandoned house, a flickering streetlight, and a distant scream play on the screen. One click is all it takes to join us. But beware, it's not just a subscription, it's an invitation into the unknown. Are you ready for this journey into the depths of fear? A hand appears on the screen, clicking a glowing subscribe button. The text "Subscribe now" flashes across the screen. Hit subscribe on Mr. Nightscaring today, and become part of a select few brave enough to face the truth lurking in the shadows. Because now, darkness isn't just the night, it's a story waiting to be told. The screen fades to black as the logo of Mr. Nightscaring glows faintly, accompanied by the tagline, "Real Stories. Real Fear." In 2018, Sarah started working at an upscale bar in New Orleans. The bar was famous for its grand mirror that spanned the entire back wall, a relic from the 19th century. Locals whispered that the mirror had a dark history, but Sarah didn't pay much attention to the rumors. She loved her job, especially the late-night shifts when the city came alive. One night, as she was closing up alone, she noticed a figure in the mirror. It was a man dressed in a black suit, standing perfectly still behind her. Startled, she turned around, but no one was there. When she looked back at the mirror, the man was gone. Over the next few weeks, the sightings became more frequent. Sometimes, she'd see him sitting at the bar, staring at her. Other times, he'd be standing in the corner, watching silently. She tried to convince herself it was her imagination, but the occurrences felt too real. One night, Sarah stayed late to inventory the stock. As she worked, the lights began to flicker, and the air grew cold. The mirror seemed to shimmer, and Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Suddenly, the man appeared again, his reflection walking toward her even though the room was empty. Terrified, Sarah ran out of the bar and refused to return. She later learned that the mirror had been salvaged from a hotel where a man had committed suicide in front of it. Locals believed his spirit was trapped in the glass, forever haunting anyone who looked into it. The moral? Some objects carry more than history, they carry the weight of those who couldn't leave them behind. In 2021, a group of friends went on a weekend trip to a remote town in Scotland. On their first night, they stumbled upon a cozy pub called the Stag's Head. The place had a warm atmosphere, with a roaring fire and friendly patrons. The bartender, an older woman named Agnes, welcomed them and served them local Alesh. The group had a great time, laughing and sharing stories late into the night. As they left, Agnes handed them a small token, a wooden coin with the pub's name carved into it. "Come back anytime," she said with a smile. The next day, the friends decided to return for another round of drinks. But when they arrived at the spot where the pub had been, it was gone. All that remained was an empty field, overgrown with weeds. Confused, they asked a local about the pub. The man's face turned pale, and he said, "The Stag's Head burned down 50 years ago. Everyone inside died." The friends didn't believe him at first, but when they showed him the wooden coin, his hands trembled. "That's impossible," he whispered. "Those coins were buried with the victims." The group left the town the next day, unable to shake the eerie feeling. They later discovered that the pub had been known for its hospitality, and locals believed it sometimes reappeared to offer weary travelers a final moment of comfort. The moral? Not all ghosts mean harm, some just want to share their warmth, even if it's for one last night. Bars are places of connection, but sometimes, the connections we make aren't of this world. These stories remind us to look closer at the faces around us and the history behind the walls. So, the next time you raise a glass, remember, you might not be the only one watching.